your guys'. My name is Erica Steckler. I'm 35 and I live in Santee, California. So about 10 years ago, I had a thought that I voiced out loud to Evan, saying that I would be a surrogate, but not just for anybody. It would need to be for somebody that I knew and loved. And I kind of just threw that out there and didn't really think much of it. That was maybe about 10 years ago. I just thought, gosh, I would carry somebody's baby if I knew that person. If they really wanted and couldn't have their own baby, I would do it for them. But it would have to be somebody that I loved. I met Evan in high school. I was a freshman and he was a sophomore in high school. He asked me to dance at a dance that we went to, a school dance. And we danced the night away, and here we are.
Mama, it fits.
My mom, she lives here in San Diego. She was a single mom, raised me and my sister, and she's a great grandma. I love her. I learned a lot of things from my mom. My mom was very self-sacrificing. That stands out to me. She would take her shirt off her back and give it to somebody that needed it. As a child, I always wanted to have a big family. Loved kids. I'm a good disciplinarian, but we also like to have fun, but I like order in my home and structure, but there's lots of crazy fun play because we have 4 kids, so it's chaos, but it's a good chaos. Nope, I did not know we wanted to have 4 kids. It was one after the first kid that we had, we would just reevaluate every kid. So we had 1, we knew we wanted more than 1, and after 2, we knew we wanted, we should probably go for another one, and then after 3, we weren't sure. But we got pregnant. And then after 4, it was like, okay, I think we're good. We felt peace and we felt complete.
My name is Erin Markabrad. I'm 37 years old and I live in Santee, California. I have known my husband, Mike, for 4 years. Mike and I met actually on Match.com. We are the exception to the rule. We actually fell in love. Well, growing up, I was in the hospital a lot, and I was sick all the time. So we used to make a joke that I would stay at Hotel Kaiser, which that was the hospital I always went to. My mom never left my side. My dad, he would work really hard, and then he would go home and tend to the kids, my brother and my sister. But he always made sure he would come in and, see me as well. So it was a really cool dynamic just because I think it really brought our family very close. So I was born with a very rare kidney disease. It's called autosomal recessive infantile polycystic kidney disease. And in fact, if you read a lot of the medical books, it's based on my medical history. The reason being is because they didn't have anybody that lived past a certain age to keep going and show what to expect. So when I was born, they told my parents, we don't think she's going to live. You might want to say your goodbyes now and make funeral arrangements. And they didn't even think they were going to take me home when I was born. And then after I was there, I actually spent the first year of my life basically in the hospital. And then they told my parents, there's no way she's going to live past 1. Nobody does. We don't even know what to expect, but there's no way. And then I lived past 1. And then they said past 5 years old. And then I lived past 5. And so then they just stopped saying how long I would live. And because I just kept defying all odds. Do I think I got the short end of the stick? No. Because I grew to, that's what I knew. And I have great family and also great friends that were always there. I knew that I always wanted to have kids. I've grown up loving babies, children. I've always been the go-to babysitter. So I was 17, I think, when my first niece was born. And I think the moment she was born, I knew that I wanted to be a mom. And my sister actually lived with us at that time. My sister and her husband, they lived with us at that time. So I got a lot of exposure to babies. And I just knew that that was going to be something that would be in the cards for me. How it would happen, I don't know. But I knew I wanted to be a mom.
Erin and Evan are childhood friends. Their moms are best friends, and they kind of grew up together. Evan called his mom Auntie Ka, and they were super close. Growing up, Evan would lick the salt off of Erin's pretzel. She couldn't have salt when she was a kid for whatever reason, and Evan would lick all the salt off the pretzels and give it to Erin. Anyhow, they were really close, and she knew her whole life that she wouldn't be able to carry her own baby because of the disease that she has. And she got married, and she knew she wanted to have children, so she needed a surrogate.
No notions of that, of becoming a surrogate. I never even thought about it. I mean, I always thought that surrogacy was it's just an amazing thing to do for somebody. I just didn't ever think that we would be doing it. I never was against it, never thought, hey, like, I'll never do that. But I did figure that, it was an awesome thing. I just didn't think we would be doing it. Got into the surrogacy situation because my best friend growing up, she had kidney disease growing up and was always told that she was not allowed to have kids, that she wasn't going to live past 3, then she wasn't going to live past 5, and then she wasn't going to live past 9, and then 11, and then 18, and then 21, and and she made it. Now she's 37. My biggest anticipation would be that we are giving gift of life to somebody, and like it's going to be amazing for my family and her family, and being able to participate in something that's such a blessing to people, and especially to my friend Erin, and how I know her. I've known her since we were 1 year old, and she's going to be an amazing mother. And Mike, getting to know Mike for the last year he's an amazing guy.
So, growing up, or I should say, knowing that, I knew I would have to find an ulterior way of having kids. I was open to anything, adoption, surrogacy, really anything, because I knew I wanted to be a mom, and I knew I wanted to have a family.
She had somebody that offered, and it didn't work out with them. And when I heard that the person offered to be her surrogate, I felt like I missed an opportunity. This just feeling in my heart came up like, oh man, I missed an opportunity. Like, I should have been doing that. And I kind of just shoved the thought aside because somebody had already offered. Well, then it didn't work out with that first couple. And I heard, and my heart just leapt. Like, I should do this. And so I presented it to Evan. I said, hey, she needs somebody. They need somebody to have their baby. What do you think about us doing that? After 2 months, Evan and I went on a long hike on Iron Mountain, and he said, I think this is something we should do. And I said, okay, well, let's do it. So I set up a time to hang out with Erin, and I told her, I want to have your baby. I know it's a sacrifice for our whole family, but it's a sacrifice for our marriage. But I just think it's a season out of life and it's worth the sacrifice, giving the gift of a child to a person that really wants one. I think there's no greater gift.
There are things that I am bummed about because I don't get to feel the baby kick for the first time. And there's things that, yes, I am missing out on, but not only me, my husband as well. But I will say, I think my biggest fear is that I'm not going to have the initial bonding with that baby once it comes out because it wasn't in my body.
I wasn't, as far as the whole surrogate process, I wasn't familiar with it. I didn't have any previous knowledge about what it's about and how it goes. So it's definitely been a learning process for me through the whole process. But when you're searching for a surrogate, most people have to go through agencies because they don't know people who are so generous enough to sacrifice their family's time and their lives to help a couple, have a kid. And then you get people that you've known your whole life volunteer, right? It's incredible, I think.
My biggest anticipation is just when that baby comes out holding it and knowing that it's mine and knowing that it's my genetics and my husband's genetics. And I can't wait to watch that baby take its first breath. We had done IVF, and that is the part where I take hormones and I give myself injections. I was giving myself 6 shots a day. And then after a certain amount of time, they are able to retrieve all of my eggs. Our first go around, we got nothing. So our second go around, they kind of doubled up the meds, and then that's how we got our 3 embryos we have now.
When we started the process, they had to look at all my pregnancy and OB records to clear me and make sure that everything was good physically, that I didn't have any complications with my previous pregnancies, which I didn't. And then they start you on some hormones to kind of manipulate your cycle. And you go in for ultrasounds and they check out your uterus and make sure that the hormones they're giving you are working right. And then a little embryo and a catheter, and you got to see the embryo on the screen, and it was just an incredible experience, knowing that they placed a baby in there, because normally you just get pregnant and you're pregnant, but it was like all this anticipation of this one day where they put the baby in you. It's just kind of a crazy thing to wrap your mind around. This obviously wasn't her ideal way of doing things, but what an incredible blessing that science can even do this, that we can even do this. It's amazing. This journey is going to be wild and crazy, ups and downs, but in the end, I just picture the day of delivery and delivering that baby and handing it over to Aaron and Mike. And I think that it's incredible that we will get to be a part of their lives forever and that baby's life.
If I were walking in Erica's shoes, to be honest, I have no idea what she's thinking. From my point of view, I view her as one of the most selfless people that I've ever met in my life. Someone who is willing to give up not only their body, but their time and their energy and everything to help someone else carry and bring a baby into this world. And not only is she just doing that out of the kindness of her heart, and because she wants to see me be a mom. We're doing what we can, and with the help of science. But nothing happens, even with the help of science, nothing happens unless God breathes life into that embryo.
I always thought, hey, somebody stepping up to give life to somebody else is an amazing thing. I think that they're unable to, so I'm here to help, or my wife is here to help. So, that's how we're created, to help people.
I believe that this was all ordained by the Lord. I think this is one of the greatest gifts that you could give to somebody, the gift of a baby, the gift of a child. I couldn't imagine not having each one of my children, and I couldn't imagine having to wait so many years to receive that gift. I say all the time, each one of my children is a gift. So being able to do this for somebody else is just an incredible thing, no greater gift, in my opinion.
We do know what we're having. We're having a baby boy. We actually had the opportunity to choose because we decided to do genetic testing on our embryos. And in the early stages, with that genetic testing, we found out that we had 2 girls and a boy. And so we decided for the first try to put in a boy embryo. And it took right away.
I am having a boy. Aaron's and Mike's baby boy. For me, towards the end, it's hard because I'm very tired, and it's not just the normal tired, it's like an exhaustion that you can't shake, and I have to lay down. But thankfully my kids are older, a little bit older, so it's easy for me to just lay down. Emotionally, it's been hard, and because your hormones are up and down all over the place, so it's been a roller coaster with my emotions and my moods, and all that has been challenging. But every pregnant woman could say the same. Well, since COVID has happened and we're all quarantined to our house, that's made me a little stir crazy, but I take the kids on walks every day, and I tend to get a little antisocial in the last part of my pregnancy, so it's kind of been a blessing in disguise to have no commitments, no anything where I have to be anywhere. I can just be at home with my kids and just enjoy them. The baby will be born and immediately go to Aaron's arms. And I have to stay at the hospital for around 12 hours just to make sure everything's okay with me. And then I get to be released. They have to stay 24 hours to make sure everything's good with the baby. And I get to come home and go sleep with no baby in my belly. So, it sounds good to me. And then forever get to be a part of his little life. I would say that I felt it strong on my heart to go through this process and to have her baby. I literally felt called, like I couldn't escape it. And I chose to say yes to it. And it's been very challenging, but I know that when you're called to something, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. But I feel like God's given me strength to get through it. And I've had a family that has supported and loved on me. And so I would say to other women, you know, if you've got a good support system and if you feel it pressed on your heart to do it, go for it, but it's not going to be an easy process.
I think I would tell women who are going through this process, it's tough, it's emotional, it's a roller coaster, but push through, because the end game is going to be what you want, and it's going to be the most beautiful miracle you'll ever experience.
No grave